Part 6. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 51. When the people around the girl heard about Nyan Hui's medical skills, they quickly moved away. But after seeing her appearance clearly, I couldn't help but mutter, she is so young, she is probably just a medical student, can she really save people? But there was no one with medical skills around. If someone with medical knowledge could come, it would be fine to save the girl first. The girl's condition is very critical. She has a heart problem and cannot delay her treatment at all. Judging from the look on her face, she probably wouldn't be able to hold on until the ambulance arrived. Regardless of what others said, Nyan squatted directly next to the girl, stretched out his hand to feel her pulse for more than 10 seconds, and then used his fingertips instead of silver needles to hit several large points on her chest hard. Without the silver needle, Nyan could only use this method to replace it. It's just that it will hurt a little. What are you doing? Little girl, it's so immoral for you to hit a seriously ill patient like this. She's like this, how can you be so cruel? What grudge do you have against her? This is too much. The surrounding audience saw that they had never seen such a treatment method before, and everyone thought that Nyan was messing around. Zhang Nyan ignored them and continued. Several young people standing next to her stepped forward to drag her. Don't move. Nyan did not raise her head, but just scolded coldly. Those who wanted to take action were stunned for some reason. The next second, Nyan finished pressing the last acupuncture point, and the unconscious girl suddenly let out a gasp, took a big breath, and opened her closed eyes. Wake up, wake up. Are you really awake? This little girl turns out to be really saving people. All the doubts he had about Nyan were put away because of Linzian's sobriety. Linzian gasped several times, and her complexion gradually began to recover, but her overall condition was still a little bad. Her lips were white, trembling, and she could not speak. Nyan helped her sit up. People from the emergency center will be here soon, and you need to go to the hospital for treatment. It's useless. Linzian slowly shook her head weakly. I went to the hospital and they just let me rest. They couldn't cure me. You might as well not save me and let me die like this, so that I don't have to suffer anymore. Her calm tone could not hide that she had lost hope in life. For a person born with congenital heart disease, it is a luxury to live like a healthy person. Every day, she was threatened with death and struggled desperately. She was really tired. Sometimes, she thought that when she fell down and never woke up, her soul and body would rest in peace. I can save you, but it depends on whether you want to live or not. Nanyan's tone was calmer than hers. I don't save people who have no sense of survival, only people who want to live. Linzian's confused expression turned into astonishment. Can you really save me? Later, she denied the idea herself, with a bit of sadness in her voice. I have seen so many doctors over the years, and all the doctors said that I will not live to be 18. I am exactly 18 years old this year, and I have reached the end of my life. Even if I want to live, what's the point? Nyan pressed lightly on her pulse with his fingers, his eyebrows slightly lowered, and he said casually, as long as you want, you can live to be 28, 38, or even 88. The premise is that you want to live. She saves people, but never saves people who want to die. Linzian was a little confused. What is she saying? Even famous doctors at home and abroad say there is no cure for her disease. How old is she? He was almost the same age as her, but he actually said he could keep her alive. Is it possible? But, looking at Nanyan's calm and indifferent face, she had an inexplicable urge to believe her. Everything in the past flashed through her mind. Her hands couldn't help but tighten, and her heart was beating crazily at a speed that was almost beyond her ability to bear. Linzian's pale little face showed excitement, determination, and hope, and then she said seriously to Nyan, I want to live. Please, help me. She wanted to die just because she was sentenced to death by the medical community and had no chance of living. But whenever she saw her parents secretly hugging each other and crying over her body, pretending to be nonchalant on the surface, her heart felt as painful as a knife. It was she who made her parents sad. If she dies, her parents can have another healthy child. Although they will be sad when she dies, they will slowly forget it after the pain is over. She didn't want to drag them down anymore. However, now that this girl said that she could be saved, she really hoped that God would give her a chance to repay her parents. The desire for survival bursting out of Lin Xian's eyes made Nan Yan feel a little satisfied. When she saw the car approaching in the distance, she helped her stand up. "The ambulance is here, let's go to the hospital first." People around heard the whole process, but not many people cared. She just thought that Nan Yan was trying to appease Lin Xian and stimulate her desire to live. After all, not many people would believe that a girl could have such high medical skills. Soon, the ambulance took Nan Yan and Lin Xian to the first hospital. Hashtag. On the way, Nan Yan sent a message to Tao Qingming that she would place Lin Xian in the traditional Chinese medicine hospital department. After Tao Qingming saw the news, he quickly ordered the nurse to organize a ward and called several of his apprentices. The apprentices of Divine Dr. Hua want to treat people, so it would be good for them to have such a good opportunity to observe the treatment personally. 10 minutes later, Lin Xian was lying on the hospital bed. Nanyan washed and disinfected her hands, then took the silver needle from Tao Qingming and performed the acupuncture on Lin Xian under the watchful eyes of several of Mr. Tao's students. She intended to let Tao Qingming learn the steps she performed this time, so she deliberately slowed down a lot so that he could see clearly. After half an hour of acupuncture, Lin Xian felt that her body had relaxed a lot. Even her chest, which was usually stuffy, was no longer stuffy, and her breathing became much smoother. The whole person felt relaxed and light as never before. Traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture, so magical. Lin Xian's face returned to normal, and was even a little brighter than usual. She was surprised and excited to feel the condition of her body, and couldn't stop her tears from falling. Nan Yan nodded calmly, "Well, Chinese medicine is profound and profound. Only Chinese medicine can save your body." Lin Xian couldn't help but start to hope that her health would really get better. After getting excited, she said a little embarrassedly, "My name is Lin Xian, what's yours?" Nan Yan spoke calmly, and then explained, "I will be hospitalized for 1 week before being discharged. I will have 1 acupuncture and 2 decoctions every day. It cannot be interrupted. I'll see you again next Saturday." Lin Xian nodded vigorously, "Yes." After coming out of the ward, Nan Yan wrote a prescription in Tao Qingming's office and handed it to him. "Mr. Tao, she's begging you. If anything happens, please contact me at any time. Little friend Nan, don't worry, I will take good care of you." Tao Qingming paused for a while and then said, "It's just that I have something to ask you." Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 52. Huh, Nan Yan raised her eyebrows, "What's the matter?" Tao Qingming said sternly, "I have a patient whose body has experienced many wars and has left many sequelae. In recent years, many other diseases have been added. His health is getting worse and his situation is becoming more and more critical. He has dedicated his life to the motherland. I am not good at medical skills and cannot relieve his symptoms. I hope you can help me, little friend Nan. Even if it doesn't extend his life, at least it can make him live less painfully in his last moments." "Okay." Nan Yan nodded, "Mr. Tao, please arrange the time, and I'll go check on him." Nanyan has always respected those who dedicated themselves to the country. As long as she can save him, she will save him. Tao Qingming looked happy, then hesitantly said, "Little friend Nan, his body is not suitable for movement. You may need to go to the imperial capital in person, is that okay?" "Okay." Nan Yan nodded, I can go at any time. Mr. Tao, just let me know if you make arrangements. Or so, she doesn't really have much to do. Dean Tao nodded quickly, okay, I'll contact the Cheng family right away. Nan Yan also made an appointment with Mrs. Jean to have dinner, so she didn't stay too long and prepared to go back. The moment he entered the elevator, He Lifeng came out and saw her. Hey, that girl. He didn't know Nan Yan's name, he only knew that his father was looking for her. However, Nan Yan didn't notice him, and the elevator door slowly closed. By the time He Lifeng ran over, the elevator had already started moving downwards. He looked back at the location of the ward, turned his eyes slightly a few times, and went to the ward on this floor. Now that the girl is here again, someone definitely knows her. It would be much more convenient to just ask her name and then go to Zhide High School to find someone. He Lifeng asked from ward to ward. Finally, Lin Ziyan asked Nan Yan's name. He Lifeng returned to the VIP ward and told He's His Who the news. You said her name is Nan Yan. He's His Who was so excited that he almost jumped out of bed. He Lifeng nodded, yes, that little girl was saved by the girl I saw outside the emergency room before. She said her name was Nan Yan. He's His Who grabbed his hand hard and said, go find her. We must find her as soon as possible and bring her here. He wanted to find out what was going on. Is it really just two people with the same name? Dad, don't worry, it's the weekend now. When school starts on Monday, I'll go to Zhide High School to find someone. Hashtag. Nanyan returned to Landis Hotel. Thinking of Zhang Hobo's incident, I didn't forget to send a message to Shen Junqing to tell him. Shen Junqing called quickly and knew that she was not injured, so he smiled carelessly and said, if you dare to bully her to the point of cigarette, let's see how my brother can help you deal with him. Nan Yan's expression was indifferent, can you get that piece of land? If not, I will return the 150 million to you. She is short of money, but if she gets paid for nothing, she won't do it. Of course I can. I'm going to decide on that piece of land. Shen Junqing chuckled. Her gorgeous and sexy voice made it easy for her to act like a rogue. The money I gave you is yours, so what else do you want? Just think of it as a meeting gift from your brother to your sister. Anyway, he has deep pockets. Nan Yan. The world of the rich is indeed difficult to understand. Yeah. Hang up now, I have something to do. Okay. Shen Junqing hung up the phone, and Nan Yan answered with a special symbol without identification. The goods have been delivered? Address. Okay, it will arrive in a moment. Nan Yan glanced at the closed door in front of her, turned around and walked out. The things she bought in the dark realm have arrived, and she has to pick them up first. The lunch I wanted to have with Mrs. Jean seems to have been pushed to dinner. Hashtag. Goods from the dark zone must be signed for in person. The dark area delivery man wearing very ordinary work clothes was waiting for Nan Yan's arrival at the designated location. I can't see anything out of the ordinary. I blend in perfectly among ordinary people. But when Nan Yan came over, she saw him at a glance. Dark Realm Courier. The courier was slightly surprised for a moment, then regained his composure. Hello, are you a member of Fish Who Loves Diving? Nan Yan nodded, yeah. Okay, these are the goods you purchased in the Dark Realm. Please sign for them in person. He handed a tightly packed box to Nan Yan's hand, with a somewhat formulaic look on his face to please, if you are satisfied, please give my service 5 stars, please. Nan Yan responded, took the express box in his hand, thanked him, and returned to the taxi. The Dark Domain courier completed the handover of the goods and did not stay here longer, quickly disappearing into the crowd. Not long after, back at the Landis Hotel, Nan Yan carried the express box upstairs. Mrs. Jean happened to be accompanied by Wu Yu and returned home with large and small bags. Seeing Nan Yan, Mrs. Jean immediately stepped forward and took her arm affectionately. Yan Yan, Grandma bought you some clothes, would you like to try them on? Nan Yan. Old lady, I already have a lot of clothes. How can a woman think she has too many clothes? Come on, go back to your room and try on clothes. Mrs. Jean was very domineering and did not give Nan Yan any chance to refute. Hey, Yan Yan, what did you buy? Nan Yan smiled warmly, a little something. Oh. Soon, Nan Yan was pulled back to the room by Mrs. Jean. Then the express box in her hand was taken away and placed aside, and a belt with clothes was stuffed into her hand. Go and try it on, let me see. Nan Yan looked at the package in her hand, sighed for a while, and resigned herself to trying it on. Ever since she lived in the Landis Hotel and vaguely admitted that she was Jean Lu's girlfriend, Mrs. Jean was not polite to her at all. She would buy her things every day, and at first it was snacks, fruits, and the like, and then when she saw that she accepted it, she bought more and more. But Qin Ye asked her to accept it all. Because this way, the old lady would be happy. Okay. Anyway, she is now a tool of the boss. Just think of it as repaying a favor. When Nan Yan saw the clothes that Mrs. Jean bought for her, the expression on her face was stiff for a moment. Can she take back what she said before? This dress, she really doesn't want to change. Nan Yan took out the other clothes from the package with an expressionless face and spread them in front of her. She barely found one that she could accept and changed into it. Old Madame Qin was still standing outside waiting happily. The clothes she picked were all recommended by the shopping guide. They were the most popular styles among young girls nowadays. Yan Yan would definitely like them. And Yan Yan was so beautiful, she would definitely look better than the model. A few minutes later, the door of the fitting room opened. Nan Yan came out wearing a white gauze skirt. At this time, the door of the room also opened. Qin Lu stood at the door, and the girl's appearance at this time was completely reflected in his eyes. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us, we will deal with it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 53. The girl's hair was casually scattered behind her, and she was slender and graceful. The simple skirt had no extra decorations, but only a layer of gauze, which outlined the girl's exquisite figure. Black hair and red lips, white skin as white as snow, extremely beautiful facial features, and a kind of cold and distant beauty. Wearing a long white gauze dress, she looked like a peerless beauty walking out of an ink painting. This glance directly amazed Qin Lu. This scene was deeply imprinted in his heart. Old Lady Qin even shouted in surprise, "Oh my God, Yan Yan, you are so beautiful. This granddaughter-in-law is really a good deal." She thought happily that with Yan Yan and Alu's looks, her great-grandson and great-granddaughter would definitely be super cute. Nan Yan naturally felt the sight falling on her. Qin Lu's gaze, I guess no one can ignore it. Feeling his gaze, she was stiff for a moment, very unnatural. Fortunately, he quickly shifted his gaze, and the pressure on her was relieved a little. Nan Yan breathed a sigh of relief, walked to Mrs. Jean, and smiled gently, "As long as you like it." Mrs. Jean took the girl's hand and looked at her with a look of love, and did not forget to say to Qin Lu who came in, "Yan Yan's dress looks good, isn't it, Alu?" "Yeah, it looks good," Qin Lu praised sincerely, and touched the girl's head again out of habit. Nan Yan. She really hates being touched on the head. Angry. "Yan Yan, then wear this one, okay? Let's go out for dinner." "Okay." As long as she doesn't have to change clothes again, Anything is fine. Soon, the three of them went to a restaurant for dinner. Qin Lu and Nan Yan's super high looks attracted many people to watch, and most people speculated whether they were in a relationship. Both of them have excellent hearing, and they heard every word of the whispered conversation in the play. Even Mrs. Jean heard a few words, and then boasted to them, "This is my good grandson and granddaughter-in-law. No one can snatch her granddaughter-in-law away. She must decide on her granddaughter-in-law as soon as possible." Nan Yan looked at Qin Lu speechlessly. How long will she be a shield? It would be bad to let the old lady misunderstand like this. Qin Lu had a calm face, without any fluctuations, just gave her a calm look. Okay. Then she will be calm. Anyway, it is he who has to explain the misunderstanding, not her. Hashtag. In order to celebrate that Nweo can perform on stage with Huayuyi tomorrow, Nweo King specially spent a lot of money to book a private room in the best restaurant in Jinqing, and the family of four came. The eldest and the third child of the N family are out, and Anziran has been living in his team dormitory recently, and he doesn't come back even if he calls. So, only Nweo King, Lulahua, and Mulan, and Nweo came. The family entered the restaurant, talking and laughing. Nweo glanced at them and couldn't help but be stunned. "I think I saw Yan Yan." Lulahua's face, which had just been smiling, suddenly sank. How could she get into a place like this? When it comes to Nanyang, Lulahua's heart aches with anger. She thought that Nanyang ran away for a few days just to be angry. Anyway, she has no money and will come back if she can't stand the hardship outside. However, several days have passed, and she has no intention of repenting at all. She has repeatedly slapped her in front of her, making her embarrassed again and again. Lulahua regretted taking her back to his bones. She has no ability, but I saw a man with her, and Nweo looked concerned and anxious. What if Yan Yan becomes corrupt for money? Dad, Mom, let's take her back. After all, she is a member of the N family. What if she is deceived outside and does something she shouldn't do? How could Nweo care about Nanyan? She just wanted Nanyan to live under her nose and be at her mercy. Now Nanyan is outside, she can't even see her, let alone control her. She must be allowed to return to the N family. Sure enough, after hearing what Nweo said, the expressions of Nweo King, Lulahua and Mulan changed at the same time. They cannot care about how hard Nanyan lives outside, but if she dares to go out and embarrass herself with the title of the second lady of the N family, it will not work. Nweo King sank his face. Yao Yao, which room is she in? I saw Yan Yan go to that private room, and Nweo pointed to the room that Nanyan had just entered. She only had time to see Nanyan and the back of the man. Judging from the back alone, she should be young, tall, and handsome. Nweo couldn't help but secretly clenched her fists. She really has a foxy face, and she hooked up with a man so quickly. If she had known earlier, she should have taken action earlier and sent her to the bed of those investors and played her to death. The family of four rushed to the private room where Nanyan was. In the private room, Nanyan and the other two had just sat down and were about to order food when the door was suddenly kicked open. Then the four of them rushed in. Seeing these four familiar faces, Nanyan did not show any emotion and remained sitting steadily. Qin Lu raised his eyes coldly and looked at the four of them. Lulahua did not even look at Qin Lu, but pointed directly at Nanyan and angrily scolded. "Nanyan, how can you, a girl, just go out to eat with a man? Do you know what self-love means?" Before she entered the room, she hoped that Nweo had seen it wrong and that Nanyan was not here. But once she entered the room, she saw Nanyan wearing clothes that she could not afford at all, and sitting in the private room, and her emotions exploded. "Go back to the N family now and reflect on yourself." Lulahua was furious, and was about to go forward to grab Nanyan's arm and take her home. When Mrs. Jean heard what Lulahua said, her face sank directly. This is Yan Yan's family. No wonder she didn't want to go home, and would rather stay in a hotel outside than go back. Except for Lulahua, who only saw Nan Yan because of his impulse, and Yeoking, and Mulan, and Nweo all saw the man in the room who was as noble as an emperor. Especially Nweo, who almost bit her teeth. How could Nan Yan know such an excellent man? Why? Where did she get the qualifications? Crazy jealousy made her eyes a little red. She pinched her palms hard, using the stinging to remind herself, and barely managed to keep her sanity. Nan Yan's eyebrows were cold, and she said indifferently, "MRSN, haven't we already made it clear that I will have nothing to do with your and family in the future? What are you crazy about?" Lulahua's face was ashen, and he listened to Nan Yan's cold words, and his anger rushed directly to his head. "No matter how much you deny it, you are my daughter, and you have the blood of the Yan family flowing in your body, so you have to listen to me. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss." Author, Junanan. Chapter 54. Lulahua was so angry that his hands were shaking. "How can you talk to me like that, you bastard? Who told you to talk to me like that? She is her mother. No matter how much she hates her, as a daughter, she can only respect her and listen to her." Mrs. Jean's angry expression, she couldn't suppress her anger after hearing this. Qin Lu held her hand and signaled her to calm down. After all, this is Nan Yan's family affairs. They are outsiders after all, and it is not convenient for them to intervene. But seeing the little girl being bullied like this, Qin Lu couldn't help but feel angry. And he felt sorry for her. He was angry just by seeing it once. And she has been treated like this since she was taken back to the Yan family. How sad she must be. If she hadn't been completely disappointed with this family, how could she choose to leave and draw a clear line with them? Under Lulahua's dominance, Nan Yan raised her eyes lazily and said coldly, "How much money do you need to buy out the relationship with your Yan family? I have lived in your Yan family for 2 years. Is 20 million enough?" And Yeoking listened to Nan Yan's words, but his eyes were looking at Qin Lu. "Is this the sponsor that Nan Yan is with? 20 million is the starting price, and he is indeed rich and powerful. But the daughter of the Yan family is worth more than 20 million. Looking at his biological daughter, who is now more beautiful and elegant, and Yeoking's expression quietly changed. He said with a straight face, "Nan Yan, your mother is also concerned about you. She is afraid that you will degenerate after leaving the Yan family. There is no other meaning. You are our daughter, a blood relative who is connected by bones and tendons. How can you buy out with money? Don't say these stupid things in the future. Don't say these hypocritical words to me." Nan Yan sneered, "It's okay to keep it, but can you please not appear in front of me? It seems that he thinks 20 million is too little. The appetite is really big. Then don't give a penny." Anyway, she still had to avenge the original owner, otherwise, she could just snatch the Yan family and donate it to charity. Her fourth brother didn't seem to like taking over the company. "Yan Yan, how can you talk to mom and dad like this? They all care about you. You're hurting their hearts. If you hadn't done so many wrong things before and failed mom and dad's expectations of you again and again, how could they be so strict with you? They are all for your own good, don't be so ignorant." Nweo looked like she couldn't stand it, and deliberately accused Nan Yan of a crime in a pretentious voice. On the other hand, she wanted to attract Qin Lu's attention. She had never seen such a handsome man since she was a child. And he was so aura, with natural majesty and dignity, like an emperor. His status would definitely not be low. Nweo had a high opinion of herself and had always wanted to marry into a top wealthy family. Young masters and sons of ordinary families were not in her eyes at all. Now that she finally met one, she must seize the opportunity. And Mulan agreed with Nweo's words and felt that what she said was indeed correct. He just remembered what Nan Yan said to him before and didn't bother to pay attention to her. Nan Yan leaned her head, raised her cold eyebrows, and hooked her lips evilly and coldly. "Nwao, do you need me to tell everyone how I made those mistakes at the beginning?" The original owner was too stupid and took Nwao's words as an imperial decree. She did whatever she wanted her to do. Even if she was framed and made mistakes again and again, which made her embarrassed, she still chose to believe her. The original owner was so naive, just because Nwao was the best person to her after she returned to the N family. "Yan Yan, what do you mean?" Nwao's tone stagnated. "Could it be that you made mistakes because of others' instructions?" She cursed Nan Yan inwardly. At that time, she was like a fool, letting her manipulate her. Why did she suddenly become so smart? A hint of coldness flashed across Nan Yan's eyes. She glanced at Qin Ye's cold expression and temporarily suppressed what she wanted to say. "I will settle those accounts with you slowly. Now please be a little tactful and don't disturb us while we are having dinner." "Nan Yan, you are not going back with us, are you?" Lulahua looked at Nan Yan with hatred and disappointment, his body trembling because of too much anger. Nan Yan still leaned her head casually, with a smile on the corner of her lips, but the smile did not reach her eyes. "You want me to go back? The N family is not worthy." This sentence directly changed the faces of the four people in the N family. Even Nyaoking could not maintain his superficial emotions and said angrily, "Nan Yan, you are really great. You have a backer, but you are so arrogant to belittle your family. I, Nyaoking, don't have a daughter like you. Let's go." Nyaoking left angrily with the others. Nan Yanzan restrained her expression, stood up, and said apologetically, "I didn't know they would come, and it affected Grandma's mood for dinner." Mrs. Jean hugged her distressedly. "Silly child, are they bullying you like this? Don't follow them, you are a member of my Qin family from now on, let's see how they can bully you." Nan Yan raised his hand and patted her back gently a few times, saying softly, "Grandma, calm down, they can't bully me. I will get back everything they did before, and in the future, they will not even think about bullying me." Qin Lu suppressed his anger and reached out to press her shoulder gently. "Do whatever you want to do. Brother's promise is always valid." He gave her a backer. Enough for her to run rampant in China. He didn't intervene just now because Nan Yan could handle it herself. If someone really dared to hurt her, he would not sit idly by. After all, she was the child he promised to raise, and no one could bully her. Nan Yan curved her lips and said teasingly, "Thank you, brother." Forgetting the N family, Nan Yan and the others ordered a meal and ate happily. But in contrast, Nyaoking's family of four were not in the mood to eat. Sitting in the private room they booked, several people looked unhappy. Lulahua started complaining again, accusing Nan Yan of all kinds of bad things, and then said that she had a hard time. When he was moved, he even cried aggrievedly. Nyaoking smoked irritably. He really didn't care much about his daughter Nan Yan. He took Nan Yan back because it was his father's order. He had no feelings for this daughter. Because he had always spoiled Nwao as his own daughter, and in contrast, Nan Yan's performance was too poor, and she was not as good as Nwao in all aspects, so he didn't like her at all. It was only because of the old man's wishes that he gave her a proper name and kept her in the N family. In the past, he only thought of her as an extra person to eat at home, and didn't pay attention to her. But now, I have to admit that this daughter is still a little useful. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 55. Since she can contribute to the N family, she can't be free just because she wants to break away from the relationship. Nyaoking has always been profit-oriented. The gentleman he saw today made him want to curry favor with him. If Nan Yan really gets his favor, then as long as that gentleman helps her, why worry that the N family can't prosper? "I don't care. I don't have her daughter anymore. I only have Yao Yao. Yao Yao is my biological daughter. Lula Hua couldn't stand it and wanted to drive Nan Yan out of the An family completely. Didn't she want to leave? Then it's as she wishes. She wants to see what she can do without the An family. Don't think she doesn't know that it was the fourth brother who helped her and gave her money during the days she left the An family so that she could live. When she goes back today, she will warn An Ziran not to control her anymore. When An Yeoking heard what Lula Hua said, he put out his cigarette in the ashtray and said in a deep voice, "What are you crazy about? Nan Yan is our daughter. You can't just say no to her." But she. Before Lula Hua finished speaking, An Yeoking interrupted her, "No matter what she did wrong, she is still our daughter. As our daughter, she should return to the An family. Her marriage contract should be decided by us." Lula Hua was at a loss for a moment, and then understood what he meant. "You mean, let Nan Yan marry that man? And Yeoking, if not with him, you can also marry the heirs of other big families. With her current appearance, there will be many people who want to marry her." And Mulan frowned. For some reason, he felt a little disgusted when he heard his words. Although he didn't like Nan Yan either, he just hated her for getting into trouble and not knowing what was good for her. But if he used her as a tool for marriage, wouldn't it be too wrong? And Weiao pinched her palm and pretended to be worried. "Dad, maybe that gentleman is only temporarily interested in her. If Yanyan only relies on her face, she will definitely not be able to enter that kind of big family. If Yanyan can be a little better, then those big families will recognize her. Just relying on her? Is she worthy? Besides that face, what else does she have? Men don't just look at the surface. That gentleman must be temporarily confused by her face. It won't take long before he will dislike her and abandon her. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. Nanyan is very resistant to going home now. Wait for an opportunity and let Ziran coax her home." And Yeoking waved his hand to interrupt the topic, and then looked at An Weiao. "Yao Yao, tomorrow is the day you will perform on stage. You must perform well and strive to become famous in one fell swoop." "Dad, I will." Hashtag. The next day, afternoon. Chinchinj Grand Theater. The performance officially starts at 7 p.m., and the live broadcast and online broadcast will be carried out simultaneously at that time. Hua Yuyi is an internationally renowned musician. She was once a member of the most famous royal band. Now that she has retired, her personal achievements have become more and more dazzling in the past few years, and she has already been known as a master. In addition to her personal achievements, she has also recruited many apprentices. In this concert, she mainly brought her apprentices to appear. The former band also performed as a friend because of their relationship with Hua Yuyi. This is also the first time Hua Yuyi has made a public appearance after leaving the band, so this music festival has attracted much attention. Especially those who study music, almost all of them have been waiting on the live broadcast platform early, waiting for it to start. The theater was also crowded with people, and the seats were full. And Weiao wore a black dress with delicate and clean makeup on her face. Her facial features are not so gorgeous, and she can't support too much makeup. This light and clear look makes her look more pure. For today, she went to do her styling early, and she was well packaged from head to toe. Even the diamond hairpin on her head, which was a finishing touch, cost more than 3 million. She must take this opportunity to open the international door. And Weiao doesn't care about domestic awards, and she is now a little famous in China and has loyal fans. And these are just stepping stones for her to enter the international arena. "Yao Yao, are you ready?" Hua Yuyi wore a high-end dress, exuding an intellectual and elegant aura, and her voice was also gentle. When An Weiao saw her coming, she quickly stood up and said, "Teacher, I'm ready." Hua Yuyi comforted her in a gentle voice, "Don't be nervous when you go on stage later, just rehearse as usual. Yeah. Come on. After encouraging Nwao, Huayuyi went to encourage others. Nwao breathed a sigh of relief, and then clenched her fists. She will definitely not make mistakes. There are still 10 minutes before going on stage. Nwao has adjusted her mentality, and even a flawless smile is on her face. One last look at her phone, and then she will put the phone in her bag and lock it in the storage box. Under her account, there are all messages cheering her on. Nwao raised her lips and was about to exit with a smile. Suddenly, a dialog box popped up on the screen. Then a series of photos came over. Nwao's brain was like being hit by a sledgehammer, and she was completely stunned. Fear, humiliation, collapse. Her face turned extremely pale, and after seeing the photos, she even screamed and threw her phone away fiercely. The people around were busy, and when they heard her scream, they all looked over at her. Huayuyi asked anxiously, "Yao Yao, what's wrong? Are you feeling uncomfortable?" "It's okay, teacher, I'm just a little too nervous." Nwao forced herself to regain her sanity, took her phone with her stiff hands, turned on the screen, and deleted all the photos without delaying for a second. "Don't be nervous, relax, Yao Yao, keep your mind stable." Nwao barely squeezed out a little, "Yes, I will." After Huayuyi left, Nwao was holding her phone, and the whole person was going crazy. Who is it? Why send these to her at this time? Will they post these photos online? If these photos are published online, her reputation will be ruined. Just when she was extremely panicked, Nanyan was watching her expression through the camera in the backstage. Lazily supporting her head, a mocking sneer appeared at the corner of her lips. She said that even if her arm was cured, her performance would not go smoothly. Just see what performance Nwao, who was in a state of confusion, can have on the scene. Nanyan was typing on the computer carelessly when the door was pushed open. Qin Lu came in and saw the screen with his height advantage. At this time, she had already entered the live broadcast interface. Online live broadcasts cost money, and Nanyan paid 19.9 to enter for the sake of other performers. Qin Lu came behind her and put his hand on her head. "Little girl, do you want to go to the concert? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 56. Nanyan was stunned for half a second before slowly looking up. Then she met Qin Lu's charming face. In her mind, she slowly typed. When did he come back? No, how did he get in? Qin Lu saw her doubts and explained for her, "Your door is open." "Oh, brother, are you busy?" Qin Lu said lightly, "Nothing, just came to see you." To be honest, Ms. Qin always felt that the little girl was wronged yesterday, so she asked him to accompany her more and comfort her more. Of course, Ms. Qin meant that the two young people should spend more time together to promote their relationship. What's so good about her? Recalling the question he just asked, she silently pulled his hand down and said lightly, "I'm not interested, I just want to see her make a fool of herself." Qin Lu understood, and his eyes also saw Nwao standing on the stage. "Can I watch it with you?" Nanyan gritted her teeth and pushed the computer between the two of them. "Of course. The main thing is that the big guy took the initiative to show his care, and she didn't have the courage to say no." The sofa is very large, but Nanyan still moved to the side to give him a larger space. Qin Lu sat next to her, with at least 50 centimeters between them. The two sat together very quietly, looking at the screen. The concert has already begun. But Nwao is completely out of state. She has those photos in her mind, which affects her mood too much, and she can't calm down at all. But Lulahua, who was sitting in the VIP seat, was still proudly pointing at Nweo and telling the lady next to her that it was her daughter. The lady next to her smiled awkwardly, pretending to be superficial and complimenting her. And on the barrage, Nweo's fans were also leading the topic. The whole screen was full of "Goddess Yao is great. Baby Yao Yao is the most beautiful. Baby Yao is beautiful, kind, and talented." These comments were not only posted by Nweo's fans, but also by other musicians. But they were posted so frequently that passers-by were not impressed. Soon the lights dimmed and the performance officially began. At first, Nweo could barely keep it steady, but as the rhythm got faster and faster, she couldn't concentrate and started to make mistakes. Comments: "Is that violinist just there to make up the numbers? With this level, it's outrageous that she can be on such a stage. Is this the goddess Yao that those brainless elementary school students just praised? Vomit, a good performance was ruined by an idiot." Nweo's fans were also stunned. They had all seen Nweo perform before, and her performance was obviously very good before, but why was it so bad this time? Nweo was going crazy with anxiety. She knew she was not in the right state, and she also knew that this was a live performance, so she had to perform with all her heart. However, she really couldn't concentrate. Even if she tried hard to get herself back in shape, the performance level was too different from before. In the VIP seats, Lulahua's smile froze, and she was stunned. The noble lady next to him said sarcastically, "Mrson, your daughter's performance is really good, but she needs to work harder." Lulahua's face flushed immediately, and she wished there was a crack in the ground for her to crawl into. After the song, Nweo didn't know what she was playing at the end. After leaving the stage, Huayuyi couldn't keep her smile, and asked angrily, "Yao Yao, what are you doing? You said you were fine, and the teacher believed you, but you ruined our entire performance." Nweo's face was pale, and she apologized with tears in her eyes, "Teacher, I'm sorry, I didn't know, my arm has healed, but it hurts again after I went on stage. I'm sorry, teacher, it's all my fault." She couldn't say that she was affected by those photos. Fortunately, Huayuyi knew that her arm hurt before, so it was understandable that she said it hurt. "Teacher, I'm sorry." Huayuyi is not a strong character, and Nweo is quite likable to her. Seeing her sincere apology and pale face, she was a little less angry. She took a few slow breaths to calm down, and then said to her, "You don't have to play in the next performance, let the substitute play." Nweo gritted her teeth and said, "Okay." Being replaced, the next performance has nothing to do with her. She originally wanted to use this performance to open the international stage, but ended up becoming an international joke. The next performance continued. However, the fans of Lulahua and Nweo found that Nweo was gone. But thinking of her previous mistakes, they were very self-aware and did not post randomly on the barrage. One by one, they ran to Nweo's account and asked her what happened. Lulahua couldn't sit still and went to find her backstage. Nweo cried even more miserably when she saw Lulahua. "Mom, Weavyawoo, my arm still doesn't work, Weavyawoo, I messed it up." Lulahua originally wanted to ask her why she played like that, but when he saw her crying, he immediately felt distressed. "Yao Yao, this is not your fault, you have tried very hard, Mom knows you have the ability. If it doesn't work this time, we will have next time, the most important thing now is to take care of your arm." But I made a fool of myself in front of so many people this time, what should I do, Mom?" Nweo cried breathlessly, her eyes red. Lulahua hugged her and comforted her, "It's not your fault, you are injured, clarify it on your social platform, everyone will understand. Is this okay? Don't worry, as long as your fans believe in you, those who are not your fans will forget this accident in a short time. When you go on stage next time, they may forget who you are. Nwao finally stopped crying with Lulahua's comfort. She left without waiting for the end of the performance. Hashtag. On Nanyan's side, after Nwao did not go on stage, she turned off the live broadcast. Don't watch it anymore, Qin Lu asked casually. Nanyan slowly shut down her laptop and put it away. Well, it's not interesting. It's enough to see Nwao make a fool of herself. Brother, my house will be ready tomorrow. You don't have to pick me up tomorrow afternoon. Nanyan felt that she still had to tell him about the move. After all, he had been calling her brother for so long and he had been taking care of her during this time. He couldn't just leave without saying anything. Oh. Qin Lu's voice didn't show any emotion. Where's the luggage? Take it away with you in the morning. For some reason, Nanyan always felt that the boss tone of voice seemed a little unhappy. She glanced at him, but on the surface, it seemed that there was no change from usual. You can come back to get it in the evening. After a pause, she said, let's talk about it tomorrow. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 57. Just make your own decision. Qin Lu unbuttoned 2 buttons of his collar in annoyance. Nanyan's pupils shrank suddenly. Just talk. What's the point of unbuttoning for no reason? Looking at the sexy clavicle that suddenly appeared in front of her, Nanyan turned away with difficulty and silently recited the heart-cleansing mantra twice. To prevent herself from having another nosebleed. Qin Lu stood up. I have something else to do, don't play too late, go to bed early. Nanyan agreed. After he left, Nanyan felt a little relieved. Touching under the nose, there was no red, and she was completely relaxed. Looking at the time, it was still early, and it was impossible to sleep, so she simply turned on the computer and went to knock on Bayuki. Nanyan, are there any tasks? Come on. Bayuki. Bayuki, of course, why God, you are simply my savior. He felt that since he had why God, not only him, but also other people in the company, had time to take a vacation. This is not a human. This is clearly a living bodhisattva who saves people from suffering. He took out a pile of tasks that no one in the institute was willing to take, packed them up, and sent them directly to her. Nanyan clicked on it and took a look, and replied to him, give it to you before dawn today. Bayuki, big brother, please join. Nanyan, be good, I won't join. Bayuki, then I'll continue to ask next time. After ending the call, Bayuki put his hands on his waist and laughed wildly, with God why in hand, the world is mine. When he was laughing crazily, a phone call suddenly came in. Cough cough cough. Bayuki stopped too quickly, causing himself to be choked by saliva. After coughing a few times, he picked up the phone and chose to answer it. Master, have you been too diligent recently? The master asked me to ask you, the completion rate of the tasks in the institute has suddenly increased by 5%. Bayuki proudly put his hands on his waist. It's not that I'm diligent, it's that I recruited a big boss, the big boss is too diligent. I tell you, the big boss is awesome, all the tasks piled up in the institute are packed and handed over to the big boss, no matter how many, she can complete them in one night and send them to me, I simply want to worship her. What big boss? Master, have you checked his identity? Don't tell him that he is a spy sent by other computing institutes to go undercover. The assistant on the other side had a somewhat anxious tone. Bullshit, Bayuki snorted coldly, I tell you, with the big boss's ability, it's like a joke to want to invade the computing institute, there is no need to use such troublesome means. If she is really a spy, she would not refuse when I invited her to join. Do you know how difficult it is to invite the big boss? I ask her every day, and she still doesn't agree. This is really, a little worrying. The assistant thought about it, but this matter must be told to the master as soon as possible. Hashtag Monday. Nan Yan had breakfast with Madame Qin, but did not see Qin Lu. Yan Yan, come back from school today, can you accompany grandma to eat at the food stall? Madame Qin made full use of her advantages and pulled Nan Yan's hand to act coquettishly. I have always heard that food stalls are delicious, but no one wants to accompany me, so you can accompany grandma. Nan Yan can't stand the old man acting coquettishly to her. Looking at Madame Qin's expectant expression, she nodded, okay. It didn't take long to eat at the food stall. After eating, it was just right to take away the luggage left in the hotel. Grandma knows that Yan Yan is the best. After dinner, Nan Yan went downstairs with her bag on her back. She thought she would take a taxi to school today, but as soon as she walked out of the hotel gate, she saw Qin Lu's car parked downstairs. Wu Yu saw her coming out, and quickly lowered the car window and greeted her in a mean way, Miss Nan, we are here, get in the car. Nan Yan. Didn't they leave? Why are you still waiting for her downstairs? They didn't even have breakfast together, and he just waited for her in the car for so long. Although she was complaining in her heart, Nan Yan still went over. She opened the car door, got in, looked at the man's overly cold features, and called him brother. Qin Lu didn't look at her, responded indifferently, and then ordered, Wu Yu, drive. Neither of them spoke during the whole journey. Wu Yu felt something was wrong. Although no one usually talked and it was quite quiet, the atmosphere didn't seem to be like this. Regardless of Wu Yu's feeling that something was wrong, Nan Yan also felt that the air pressure in the car was inexplicably low today. The boss seemed to be in a bad mood. Nan Yan pinched her eyebrows and moved towards the car door again, and the distance between them was a little further. Qin Lu noticed her actions and his mood became a little calmer. Is she so afraid of him? Qin Lu restrained his aura, closed the folder on his legs, and looked at the well-behaved little girl nonchalantly. She lowered her head, wearing headphones in her ears, with white wires winding around her phone, and the anti-spying phone film prevented others from peeping. She sat quietly near the car door, as if she had no sense of existence. Qin Lu was silent for a while, and then spoke slowly, little friend. Nan Yan looked up blankly. She was not listening to any music in her headphones. Wearing headphones is just a way of saying that she doesn't want to talk to people. But the car was very quiet, and Qin Lu's voice was very penetrating, and she could hear it clearly through the headphones. She responded subconsciously at the first time. By the time she reacted and pretended not to hear, it was too late. In the moment of daze, a touch of coldness slid across her ear. His hand took off the earphones in her left ear. His white fingertips gently twisted the small and exquisite earphones, and he said lightly, if you are bullied in the future, remember to contact brother. Brother's phone will always be turned on for you. Nan Yan's heart trembled, and her eyes were full of surprise and shock. She thought that when she left the hotel and moved back to her house, the agreement between them would be over. But now, she knew she shouldn't think about it. But she couldn't control it, and a strange feeling rose in her heart. Qin Lu looked at her quietly. Nan Yan was stunned for 3 seconds before she found her voice and responded softly, thank you brother. Don't be so polite to brother. Okay. Hashtag. Nan Yan's mood did not calm down until she got off the car. She had never experienced such emotions before. Before rebirth, she spent all her time learning various skills and looking for enemies. She was used to being independent and strong, and she was also used to getting what she wanted through her own efforts. This was the first time someone told her that she could rely on him. She could tell that Qin Lu's words were not a joke, but a serious promise. Because of this, she was moved for a while. The first time she was cared for and taken care of, she was very uncomfortable, but inexplicably excited. Slowly suppressing her emotions, Nan Yan came to class 4 of senior 2 with a faint expression. Nan Yan, the dean asked you to go to the office. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 58. Nan Yan. She came to the office just like clocking in at work. Does she have to come here every day? Putting down her school bag, Nan Yan calmly went to the office with her classmates. People in class 4 of grade 2 are now afraid to provoke her. They dare not target her on the surface, but secretly. Lu Rongrong looked at Nan Yan's back as she left, opened the school forum on her phone, and posted another anonymous post on it. A certain daughter made a mistake again and was called to the office. Then there were all kinds of slanderous remarks about Nan Yan. As soon as the post was posted, many people came to agree. They were all good friends with Nweo. In school, they bullied the original owner for Nweo. After Nweo withdrew from the performance last night, she went home and recorded an apology video and posted it on her social account. While admitting that it was all her fault, she also hinted that her arm pain was related to Nan Yan. Nweo's fans all knew about Nan Yan's arm pain, so when they heard the goddess they were fans of apologized so aggrievedly, they immediately comforted her with heartache. Those who understood the hint were all angry, and they posted some posts full of malice towards Nan Yan in indignation. They also knew that Nan Yan and Nweo were from the same school, so they all ran into the forum of Zhide High School. It happened that there was a post by Lu Rongrong, and they began to abuse and slander Nan Yan. However, Nan Yan didn't know about this for the time being. In the office, the dean was talking to He Lifeng. He Lifeng came to the school early this morning, and after explaining his purpose, he said that he wanted to meet Nan Yan. The dean had not yet recovered from what He Lifeng said, that Nan Yan also knew medical skills. Hearing the cold report voice from outside, he asked Nan Yan to come in. Nan Yan, you are here. He Lifeng was very friendly and stood up to show his respect for her. Nan Yan. So, he's his who found out about her so quickly, right? Nan Yan nodded. Hello. Nan Yan, this Mr. He is here to see you. The dean looked a little strange. After Nan Yan came over, he pulled her over and asked in a low voice, Nan Yan, do you also know medical skills? Yes, Nan Yan admitted calmly, a side job. A side job? It's fine that she has an amazing talent in computers, but now she has medical skills. The dean almost vomited blood. Holding back the excitement in his heart, he whispered, he said you saved his father, and now he wants to see you. Then meet him. Nan Yan's slender fingers pinched her eyebrows lightly, and there was a mist in her beautiful eyes. Since it can't be avoided, there is no need to escape. She is like this now, even if she stands in front of Shishkin and those people, it is impossible to be related to her original identity. He Lifeng was delighted. When is Nan Yan free? At noon. Then I'll wait for you at the school gate at noon. Okay. He Lifeng thought that it would not be so smooth for him to come to Zhide to find someone. It turned out to be done so quickly. Seeing that the dean obviously wanted to talk to Nan Yan, He Lifeng did not bother her and left the office. After leaving, he quickly called his who. Dad, Nan Yan agreed to meet you at noon, so don't worry, just wait. His who's excited voice came over, okay, Lifeng, come back quickly and bring me a formal suit, I want to change into it. He Lifeng. Hashtag. After He Lifeng left, Nan Yan sat opposite the dean naturally. Nan Yan, how is your medical skills? The dean had not recovered from the shock of Nan Yan's medical skills, and couldn't help but talk a little more. It's okay, Nan Yan replied very subtly. Does the dean have a patient who wants to be treated? That's not the case, the dean shook his head decisively. It's mainly because I didn't expect that you have such a high talent for computers and can also achieve success in medical skills. He Lifeng didn't know his identity, but he was able to make Tao Qingming, the dean of traditional Chinese medicine at the first hospital, nod and admit that he had good medical skills. He was definitely not an ordinary young Chinese medicine practitioner. He was a little entangled now. Would it affect Nan Yan's medical studies if he asked her to participate in the computer competition? No wonder her academic performance was so poor. With these two talents, it was understandable that she was a little worse in her studies. Nan Yan glanced at him and said lightly, "It's okay, I just learned a lot of things, and more skills are better." Dean. What a Versailles tone. After talking about some other things, they got to the point. Later, during the flag-raising ceremony during the break, we will announce that you will represent Hyde High School in the computer competition. By the way, we will change your name. Do you want to make a speech at that time? Nan Yan refused without thinking. No, just help me announce it. If there is nothing else, I will go back first. The dean nodded. Okay, go ahead. Hashtag. Nan Yan returned to class 4 of grade 2. The people who were sitting together and whispering saw her coming and quickly separated and sat down, and the classroom instantly became quiet. Under the gaze of a class, Nan Yan walked back to the last row, pulled out a chair and sat down, then took out her headphones and put them on, and opened the dark domain page. After being quiet for a few minutes, the students started talking in a low voice again after finding that Nan Yan didn't pay any attention to them. But this time, the topic had obviously changed, and no more negative information about Nan Yan on the forum was mentioned. After 2 classes, it was a big break, and a flag-raising ceremony was to be held. Everyone put down their things and quickly gathered on the playground. Nan Yan also put her mobile phone in her pocket and walked slowly in the direction of the crowd. Suddenly, a boy deliberately walked in front of her and stretched out his leg to trip her. Nan Yan's expression did not change, and she stepped directly on his outstretched leg and walked over steadily. The boy screamed, and he seemed to hear his leg make a sound. Was the bone broken? Stop, the boy shouted angrily, why did you step on me? Nan Yan raised her eyebrows. Didn't you deliberately stretch your leg over for me to step on? What nonsense are you talking about? The boy stiffened his neck, trying to make trouble for Nan Yan. Nan Yan's eyes were cold and indifferent. Such a wide road, you deliberately ran in front of me. If you don't want me to step on you, then why did you stretch your legs? Or do you want to trip me on purpose? As she spoke, her delicate eyebrows and eyes were stained with a bit of sharpness. The boy was shocked by the sudden sense of oppression from her. The next second, he gritted his teeth and snorted coldly, that's right, I wanted to trip you on purpose. Who told you to bully Goddess Yao? If it weren't for you, Goddess Yao's performance this time wouldn't have turned out like this. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 59. He is Nwao's biggest fan and calls himself her knight. He understood Nwao's hint, and of course he wanted to vent her anger. And because of yesterday's performance, she didn't come to school today. It was said that she took a few days off. He felt even more distressed. What does her failure in the performance have to do with me? Nan Yan sarcastically said, that's because she is trash. When Nwao, the die-hard fan, heard this, blood rushed to his head, and he roared and rushed towards Nan Yan waving his hands. The people next to me just watched, and no one stopped me. There was even a bit of schadenfreude. Nan Yan didn't even try to hide. When the boy pounced on him, she raised her foot and kicked him in the stomach accurately and hard. She kicked him 2 meters away and fell to the ground in a panic. She walked over unhurriedly, stepped on his back, and leaned slightly, with a wanton sneer on her lips, unruly and arrogant. Do you want to die if you start with me? It hurts, put it. The boy's facial features were distorted and he was speechless in pain. He lay on the ground unable to move. The surrounding students all exploded. Looking at Nan Yan's expression, he felt a little more fearful. Only the male classmates from Class 4, Grade 2, subconsciously trembled slightly when they saw this familiar scene. They have all personally experienced Nan Yan's violence and understand how painful it is. You can lick Qin Ye if you want, but don't come in front of me for abuse. Do you understand? The boy almost breathed away from the pain. When he heard her ask, he nodded with difficulty, I understand, I understand. Nan Yan snorted coldly, raised her feet and let him go. He continued walking towards the playground without changing his expression. The people next to him, some of whom knew the boy, quickly helped him up. After being helped up, the boy regained his composure. The boy stared at Nan Yan's back with a sinister look, gritted his teeth and said, Goddess Yao is injured, it must be her doing. I will not let her go. A friend around me said, this woman's force is so terrifying. Be careful next time, you will be tortured even more severely. No matter how powerful she is just a woman. But, just wait for me. The farce here will soon pass. The flag-raising ceremony of Zhide High School will begin soon. Raise the national flag and sing the national anthem. This was followed by a weekly speech under the flag. After the top student finished his speech and everyone thought it was going to end as usual, the dean of students picked up the microphone. Students, let me announce now that the contestant of the computer competition is also the leader of the group, student Nan Yan. The words of the dean directly caused the crowd to explode. Who? Did I hear correctly? How could it be Nan Yan? Does she really know how to use computers? Oh my God, is this funny? A scumbag actually wants to represent the school in a computer competition. Is there any need to compete? When the time comes, I will come back with the last place in the competition. I might as well not go. But no one who knew Nan Yan was optimistic about her, and even thought that the school was crazy and would designate her to compete. Give her the role of team leader. When the dean of students knows that it is announced that Nan Yan will join the computer competition, there will definitely be a lot of opposition. After all, Nan Yan's performance was indeed somewhat unsatisfactory. If he hadn't been discerning and saw her computer skills, he would have been deceived by her and thought she could accomplish nothing. Now that he knows her medical skills, his evaluation of her is even higher. So in the face of everyone's doubts, he directly said, as for Nan Yan's strength, please rest assured, the school will not just let her join the competition group without ability. The other 4 students unanimously agreed that she could be the team leader. Feng Tianji and the other 4 were candidates for the computer competition before, and everyone in the school knew about it. Upon hearing what the dean said, the people around the 4 of them quickly asked if this was the case. Although it was humiliating to lose at the time, it was also because their skills were inferior to others. So when people around them asked, Feng Tianji and the other 3 nodded in recognition. Only Yin Yuchen looked gloomy and said coldly, strong ability but poor character is really disgusting. The students around them thought for a while before they realized that Yin Yuchen's intention was to acknowledge that she did have real power. All 4 members spoke, and those who questioned Nan Yan's ability became much quieter. The dean nodded with satisfaction, and then said, in addition, Nan Yan has changed her name on her student registration. She will no longer use the name Nan Yan. Please call her Nan Yan from now on. He thought it was just an ordinary name change, but after he said this, the reaction of those classmates was even greater than before. Let me go, was she kicked out by the Yin family? What a joy! I think that must be the case. Nwao is enough for the Yin family. Who wants to raise another daughter who can do nothing but cause trouble and make mistakes all day long? Deserve it? I guess she won't be able to hold her head up in school in the future. Listen to what you said, when will she be able to raise her head and live? Lu Rongrong's eyes lit up, and she quickly sent a message to Nweo, Yao Yao, did your parents kick Nan Yan out of the house? They also forced her to change her name and not allow her surname to be, and this was so frustrating. Nweo was afraid that she would be ridiculed at school, so she deliberately took sick leave and was sitting in front of the computer at home watching her little fans fight over her. When she saw the message from Lu Rongrong, she was stunned for a moment, then typed a few words and sent it. How did you know? She didn't deny it, she just deliberately created an illusion for Lu Rongrong that it was indeed the case. Lu Rongrong took it for granted and sent it with a grin. The national flag was raised today. The dean said in front of everyone that from now on Nan Yan will no longer have the surname An and can only call her Nan Yan. Lu Rongrong then sent another message. She used to have the identity of the second young lady of the An family, but now she no longer has this identity. Look how crazy she is. Nweo looked at these two pieces of content, but her expression changed slightly. Thinking of Yeoking's words yesterday, she ran out of the room to find Lu Lihua without even bothering to reply to Lu Rongrong. Mom, Yanyan changed her name in front of everyone at school. Lu Lihua now feels physically disgusted when he hears Nan Yan's name, and asks impatiently, what has been changed? She changed her name back to her original name, and Nweo bit her lip and asked with some trepidation, Mom, Yanyan isn't really going to leave the An family, is she? Lu Lihua's face darkened. Just leave, we don't want a daughter like her in Angia. Nweo said softly, but, didn't Dad want to use her for marriage? This damn girl keeps making trouble day after day. Lu Lihua stood up and suppressed his anger and went to the entrance to change his shoes. Yao Yao, you take good care of yourself at home. I'll go to school. Mom, you'd better ask Dad to go with you. I don't think she will listen to you at all. Yes, I'll call your dad right now. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 60. Having said all that needs to be said, the flag-raising ceremony is over. On the way back to the classroom, Nan Yan was pointed at by her classmates, with all kinds of ridicule in their words. However, Nan Yan was not affected. On the contrary, she felt good about being able to change her name back. So she didn't even think about it after being scolded by them. During the countdown to the last class in the morning, Yeoking and Lu Lihua arrived. The two men entered the office aggressively, and when they caught the class teacher of grade 2 and grade 4, they asked him face to face. What happened when Nan Yan changed her name? Did we allow it? She is a child. How could she just change it when she said it should be changed? Head teacher. How could she know this situation? The whole process of changing the name was a transaction between Nan Yan and the dean, and she did not go through it. Besides, last time I saw Lu Lihua's attitude towards Nan Yan, the head teacher also guessed what kind of life Nan Yan was living in Angia. She would change her name because she was too disappointed with their family. But it was hard for her to say this directly. Mr. An, MRSN, please calm down. This matter is not my business. I will call over Nan Yan and the Dean of Students and let them talk to you. And Yeoking said with a stern face, well, call the people over and give us an explanation. Hashtag. Nan Yan never thought that she could enter the palace for the second time in one day. When she came to the office and saw An Yeoking and Lu Lihua, she originally wanted to turn around and leave. As a result, the dean came later. Classmate Nan Yan, you come in with me, the teacher will protect you. Nan Yan. Thank you. However, it is not required. She just didn't want to face the two of them, but she wasn't afraid of them. Mainly, I find them annoying. Nan Yan entered the office with the dean with a cold expression. Seeing Nan Yan, An Yeoking scolded him with a dark face, Nan Yan, who allowed you to change your name privately? The name is mine, so of course I can change it if I want. Nan Yan looked at the An family and his wife calmly, and MRSN made it very clear last time that I have nothing to do with the An family. So, do you care if I change my name? These unruly and disrespectful words made the An family and his wife turn blue. And Yeo King's face was livid. You have to have a limit when you are angry with your family. Whose children don't quarrel with their parents? How many of them are like you, not only moving out but also changing their names? He wanted to save face, but Nan Yan slapped him in the face in front of others. How infuriating. Nan Yan casually raised his hand to pick his ears, his bright eyebrows without any warmth. Whatever you want to say, the name has been changed. Let's discuss when to get the household registration for me. This still has some meaning. She also wants to get her hyukao. She hugged him on her lap, thinking that she had a backer, so she dared not take him as her father seriously. He took a deep breath and said sternly, "You, change your name back to me right away, or you won't be able to get into the school." Nan Yan could go to the school only because of his connections and spending a lot of money to place her in class 4. If she disobeys, he will naturally have a way to make her drop out of school. He didn't believe it, he couldn't take care of a little girl. "Dean, someone is trying to force me to drop out of school." Nan Yan looked at the dean lazily, without any nervousness in his words. "Is there any way to make me stay?" The dean was angered by An Yeo King's unreasonable attitude. He patted Nan Yan on the shoulder and said in a deep voice, "Nan Yan, don't worry, as long as you can lead our school to the top 3 in the computer competition, the school will not charge you any tuition and fees, and will also recommend you to Sichuan University." Sichuan University is a famous university in Jincheng and one of the top 5 universities in China. If it weren't for Nan Yan's poor academic performance, the dean would have dared to recommend that she be sent to Chengdu University. And Yeo King's breath froze. "Dean, this is our family matter." The dean was very strict. "Mr. An, I'm afraid you don't know that Nan Yan is very talented in computers. The school will not allow you to delay a talented student like this." Computer talent. And Yeo King looked at Nan Yan suspiciously. "Are you really good at computers?" He had never seen her show any computer-related interest or seen her act out. Yes. Nan Yan licked her red lips, her beautiful peach blossom eyes flashed with a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Didn't the dean just say that I will represent Hyde High School in the international computer competition?" Neither Lu Lihua nor An Yeo King expected that Nan Yan would have such an opportunity. The couple looked at each other and saw a deeper calculation in each other's eyes. Originally, they only regarded Nan Yan as a flower vase. If she had such talent, then they could set their sights further and target those big families. And Yeo King's attitude suddenly changed. "You kid, you should have told me and your mother about such a big matter earlier. In this way, if you move back home, we will hire professional classrooms to tutor you and strive to get a good result in the computer competition." "No need," Nan Yan said with an indifferent expression. "As long as you appear in front of me less, my grades will not be bad." The implication is that they, as a family, affect her mood and performance. And Yeo King and Lu Lihua were almost blown away by her. If they hadn't known that Nan Yan was going to participate in the international computer competition, they would have probably taught her a lesson long ago. But now they couldn't. And in front of the class teacher and the dean of studies, they had to suppress their anger. The dean of studies and the class teacher saw that the two looked unhappy, and winked at Nan Yan, asking her to leave first and leave the rest to them. Nan Yan was too lazy to argue with them, and they didn't want to transfer her household registration, so she didn't have time to waste with them. "You guys chat, I still have classes, I'll go back to class first." After saying that, without waiting for their answers, he turned around and left the office. School was over at noon. Nan Yan took her mobile phone and went outside the school gate. As soon as she left the school gate, she saw He Lifeng and his car. "Miss Nan, this way." He Lifeng also saw her. Nan Yan walked over directly. He Lifeng looked at her stunning face and couldn't help but said, "Miss Nan, my father has been waiting for you in excitement since he knew you wanted to see him." Nan Yan got in the car, buckled her seat belt, and glanced at him indifferently. His emotions should not fluctuate too much. He Lifeng smiled bitterly. I told him to, but he didn't listen. If the little girl in front of him was not only 18 or 19 years old, and looked not much older than his daughter, he almost thought that his father had some evil intentions. She even asked him to buy formal clothes, wash and comb his hair, and even put a layer of hair wax on his gray hair. I don't know what the relationship is between Miss Nan and my father. Why did he get so excited when he knew it was you?